Just a year after arriving in Weatherfield, Carla lost her husband Paul Connor in a devastating car accident. Soon afterwards, she began a romance with her brother-in-law, Liam Connor, but tragedy struck again when Liam was later killed by Carla's future husband, Tony Gordon. As their marriage fell apart, Tony attempted to destroy Underworld by setting off an explosion while both of them were inside the factory. Carla narrowly escaped while Tony died in the blast. She later became involved with Frank Foster, but after calling off their wedding upon realizing she still loved Peter Barlow, Frank attacked and raped her. Frank himself was later murdered by his own mother. One of Carla's most emotional and highly praised storylines followed the collapse of the Underworld factory roof, which resulted in the death of Rana Habib. In the aftermath, Carla experienced severe paranoia and terrifying hallucinations, becoming convinced that Rana was alive and following her. She also began imagining conversations with people she had lost over the years. The storyline reached a heartbreaking climax when Carla suffered a psychotic breakdown and was admitted to a psychiatric hospital for treatment. With support from her closest companion and father figure Roy Cropper, she slowly recovered and rebuilt her life. Now, although Carla has overcome her mental health struggles, another resident of Weatherfield is facing a frightening decline in his own mental well-being. After uncovering Megan Walsh's horrific grooming and abuse of Will Driscoll, Sam Blakeman became the target of Megan's intimidation campaign as she desperately tried to keep him silent. Although Sam eventually confessed the truth to his stepmother Leanne Battersby, the ordeal clearly left deep scars. Since then, Sam has behaved very differently, suffering disturbing hallucinations in which Will threatens and taunts him, convincing him that nobody can be trusted. Later, Sam also began imagining a sinister version of Roy Cropper, who filled his mind with paranoia and fear, warning him that danger was everywhere around him. Sam has always shared a strong bond with Roy, something Ben explained while discussing the storyline. He said that Roy's friendship with Sam is unique and completely different from Roy's relationship with Nick. According to him, Roy understands Sam in a way others cannot, while Nick remains unaware of how much influence the hallucinated version of Roy has over Sam. In upcoming scenes, Sam finally reaches breaking point as his hallucinations begin blending with reality. Encouraged by the imaginary Roy, Sam decides to confront Will, but becomes terrified when the hallucination insists that Will intends to kill him. Sam runs to Roy's Rolls Cafe for safety, where he sees both the real Roy and the frightening version created by his mind. Meanwhile, Nick Tilsley, Toyah Battersby, Leanne Battersby, and Nina Lucas desperately try to reach him, but Sam becomes increasingly frightened and refuses to let anyone inside. Ben explained that the adults in Sam's life may not have realized how serious his condition had become because Sam divides his time between different homes, meaning each of them only sees part of the situation. He added that Nick's relationship with Toyah is very different from his long and complicated history with Leanne, especially after everything they have experienced involving Oliver, Simon, and Sam. He also pointed out that Nick feels isolated because he now sees himself as Sam's main parent, making the pressure even harder to handle. Discussing Nick's reaction, Ben revealed that the situation becomes alarming when Sam starts behaving aggressively and shuts Nick out completely. Nick realizes he is witnessing a side of Sam he has never seen before, making him understand that his son is in genuine danger. Later, Carla finds Sam wandering through the precinct in a deeply distressed state. She tries to calm him down while secretly contacting Nick for help, but Sam panics and runs away once Nick arrives. Drawing from her own experiences with psychosis, Carla tells Nick that she believes Sam is suffering from the same condition. Ben explained that Carla's words carry enormous weight because she personally understands what psychosis feels like. Nick immediately realizes the seriousness of the situation because Carla is normally very blunt and practical. So if she is genuinely concerned, he knows there must be a real problem. According to Ben, Nick suddenly goes from assuming Sam is simply struggling emotionally to recognizing that his son desperately needs professional psychiatric treatment and hospital care. He added that Nick feels overwhelmed, questioning whether he somehow failed Sam and worrying that he is facing the crisis alone. Despite everything, Ben believes Nick, Leanne, and Toyah can still help Sam recover. He praised the decision to keep Leanne closely involved in the storyline, saying it feels realistic, considering everything the family has previously gone through together, especially with Simon. Fans will undoubtedly be hoping Sam manages to recover and find peace once again. Coronation Street is set to place two characters in serious danger as Daniel Osborne's emotional crisis spirals further out of control. Daniel has been struggling badly in recent weeks after discovering that his girlfriend, Megan Walsh, had been grooming teenager Will Driscoll. Soon after the shocking revelation, the troubled teacher became the victim of a cruel online harassment campaign, initially started by his new companion, Jody Ramsey. Although Jody eventually deleted the account, another anonymous troll calling themselves Truth Teller 2 quickly appeared, making Daniel's emotional state deteriorate even further. In scenes airing next week, Daniel attempts to numb his pain with alcohol, leading to alarming consequences for those around him. As Daniel gets ready to return to work following his suspension, his son Bertie gives him a thoughtful Best Teacher mug as a gesture of support. However, when Lily Platt accidentally smashes the present at school, Daniel loses his composure and storms out before heading straight to the pub. After drinking far too much, Daniel wanders around the precinct and unexpectedly comes face to face with Megan. With tensions running high, questions arise over whether Daniel could lash out at his former partner. Discussing the storyline, actor Rob Mallard admitted that Daniel has a history of losing control when pushed too far. He explained that the character has spent years trying to suppress his darker impulses, but recent events have brought all of those emotions rushing back to the surface. Later on, Daniel returns home and continues tormenting himself by obsessively reading hateful comments online. But the situation explodes when Jody accidentally reveals that she was secretly behind the trolling campaign all along. Furious and devastated by the betrayal, Daniel immediately throws her out of the flat. Speaking about Daniel's reaction, Mallard described it as a complete betrayal, explaining that deep down Daniel always suspected Jody could not be trusted. He also revealed that this latest heartbreak may permanently damage Daniel's ability to trust women after years of failed relationships and emotional trauma stretching back to his childhood. Mallard suggested that Daniel had desperately hoped Jody would prove different from the people who had hurt him in the past, but instead she became yet another source of pain in his life. According to the actor, aside from his late wife Sinead, Daniel has repeatedly made poor choices in relationships, and Jody may soon discover just how dangerous his anger can become. Coronation Street continues airing on ITV1 during weekday evenings and is also available for streaming on ITVX.